Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Zach Martin still undecided on future. Cowboys All-Pro left guard Zach Martin was already going to consider retirement this offseason before an ankle injury required surgery that prematurely ended his 2024 season. Now, he's waiting for his ankle to get healthy before making a decision about his future, per Clarence Hill Jr. of DLLS Sports. The Cowboys, meanwhile, have had a busy offseason, promoting Brian Schottenheimer to head coach and hiring Clayton Adams to replace Schottenheimer as offensive coordinator. When asked if the staff changes made him more interested in continuing his career, Martin replied, "A little bit," indicating that he is willing to give the team's new leadership a chance before retiring. However, Martin's desire to return to the NFL isn't the only factor. The Cowboys are already projected to be over the 2025 salary cap, per Over the Cap, though they have a few options to clear cap space, chiefly a Micah Parsons extension. Still, Martin commanded an $18.425 million APY on his last contract, and he has remained one of the league's best guards when healthy. After 11 years in Dallas, Martin does not seem to have any desire to find a new NFL team for the last few years of his career. If he really wants to retire a Cowboy, he may be willing to take a below-market deal to stay in his longtime home. If Martin does retire in the coming months, the Cowboys would have to account for the remainder of his signing bonus prorations as dead cap hits. Last year's restructure will allow them to designate him as a post-June 1 cut, resulting in a $9.4 million dead cap charge in 2025 with $17.01 million pushed back to 2026. Watch, Ben Shelton receives grand welcome from Cowboys cheerleaders in spectacular entrance at Dallas Open. Ben Shelton entered the center court at the Dallas Open in a unique fashion for his first-round clash against Alexander Vukic. The American passed through a pathway created by America's sweethearts, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders. On Tuesday, February 4th, fourth seed Shelton commenced his campaign in Dallas against Australia's Vukic. The 22-year-old was greeted by the NFL cheerleading squad representing the Dallas Cowboys. They lined up on two sides, with Shelton passing from between them in a unique entry. Like his entry, Shelton's performance was also grand. He pulled off a 6-3 win in just 63 minutes to advance into the next round. During his post-match interview, Ben Shelton praised his opponent Alexander Vukic for his exceptional capabilities on the court. He said, via ATP Tour, "He, obviously is a guy who's a great server. Actually, I beat him in my match to make the top 100 and he bageled me in the first set that match. So not an easy matchup for me." Shelton was referring to the final of the 2022 ATP Challenger event in Champaign. Vukic won the first set 6-0 and looked set to bag the title, but Shelton pulled off a remarkable comeback to win the next two sets 6-3, 6-2. "To break him 3 times tonight is something I take a lot of confidence from in moving forward into the rest of the tournament, feeling really confident," the American added. The 22-year-old had a forgetful start to the 2025 season, losing his first match at ASB Classic as a top seed against Jakub Mensik. However, he was on a hot streak at the Australian Open, reaching his first semi-final at the Melbourne Slam before falling to eventual winner Jannik Sinner. "I don't think it's an overnight thing. Maybe it's a little bit of an evolution, but I think just the steady work paying off," Shelton said. "I didn't see as many big results last year as I wanted to, but the work was there every single day." Next up for Ben Shelton is either China's Bouyanchikit or Spain's Jaume Munar in the second round of the Dallas Open. The American has a 1-0 advantage over Munar. Meanwhile, if he faces Bouyanchikit, it will mark their first-ever meeting on the tour. Cowboys injected into a major trade rumor. The NFL trade rumor mill would not be complete without the Dallas Cowboys joining the party. Anytime a big-time player requests a trade or is put on the trade market, the Cowboys are one of the first teams to have the best odds of acquiring said player. As long as the Dallas Cowboys stay in the media spotlight, does it really matter if they trade for a big-time player? The answer is yes, it matters to the fans. However, the Cowboys will always be associated with superstar players, and the latest superstar to request a trade is no different. The odds show the Cowboys as players in the Myles Garret sweepstakes. The Cowboys currently sit at 4-1 odds to acquire the superstar edge rusher from the Cleveland Browns. Why would the Cowboys be the number one team, according to odds makers, to acquire Garret? The simple answer is that Myles Garret is a Texas kid. Myles Garret grew up in Texas and attended Martin High School in Arlington, Texas, less than 11 miles from AT&T Stadium. His mother is still a massive fan of the Dallas Cowboys, and the homecoming would be amazing. He also pleaded for the Cowboys to trade Tony Romo and a few picks in 2017 to the Cleveland Browns to get the first pick in that draft. This is a great feel-good story, but is the trade a possibility? The Dallas Cowboys are currently sitting in a bad situation when it comes to cap space. According to Spotrac.com, the Dallas Cowboys' cap space, assuming the cap is raised to $275 million, would be at $2,380,470. That's terrible news for anyone who wants to trade for a superstar. The thing about cap space is there are always areas to shave the cap hit by adjusting contracts. Dak Prescott's contract has void years, which helps the Cowboys get under the salary cap by moving some of his salary down the road a few years. CeeDee Lamb has the same type of contract. Prescott's 4-year extension is worth $240 million and will keep him in Dallas until 2028. This contract has void years built in, which can be used to create some space. The contract's void years are 2029 to 2032, meaning the Cowboys can push some of his salary to those years, freeing up space now. CeeDee Lamb's contract is built the same way, with void years in 2029 to 2032. If those contracts are pushed out into those void years, the Cowboys could theoretically create about $90 million in cap space this year. If Micah Parsons gets an extension, his cap hit would also be significantly lower. Parsons has also stated he would take less to get better players in Dallas. When speaking to Todd Archer, Parsons had this to say about his salary: "It really just depends on the circumstances of who we're trying to get. Who's trying to return? To me, it's all about the foundation of the team. How can I create the best foundation and play with the guys who've helped me create a lot of success? Those guys helped me get to where I am." It's all about the aggressiveness, how we look at free agency. You see a lot of times, the highest paid player, and we see they don't have weapons. I'd rather just be in the best situation. At that point, I don't think there's a big difference between $30 and $40 million. If Parsons is really true to his word and is okay with taking less money to build a better team, $10 million, along with Prescott and Lamb's money pushed down the road, would clear about $100 million. That would be plenty to get Myles Garret to Dallas, sign a draft class, and bring in other free agents or re-sign their own free agents. And you, fan? What do you think of the Myles Garret situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.